That night he took me back to the barracks because you live on site for a week when you're there. And he said, I read your card. I'm like, oh man, this is not good. He said to me, you know what, I may not agree with your version of Christianity or with Christ in your religion, but he says, I believe we have the same God. And he says, I believe that we have those same values, we share those values, and I see you as a brother. My heart almost like, what did you just say? And he says, I'm going to prove it to you. The next morning we go up to the mine site. He gets his team together, and he says, I've been analyzing this company and their product, and from now on, Polydeck will be the sole supplier, 100% of the largest mine in the world. And I want to tell you something else. We're not only going to sign a contract with them, we're going to sign a contract called a life of mine agreement. For as long as this mine exists, you will have all our business. Can you imagine what that feels like? Only God, man. Only God. So I come back to the plant with a signed contract for the life of the mine. And I said to the VP of sales, this thing kind of works, man. And his eyes got big, bug-eyed, and he's like, holy smoke. But that was a God thing. But that didn't mean that convinced everyone. No, I just tell you one story. I'll tell you another story where that card came in really useful. We went soon after that, after I convinced everyone to put on the back of their business cards, we went out to Las Vegas. The biggest mining show in the world is every 3 years, where 1 million miners from all over the world come to see products, latest innovations. We had a big stand there. And I stood in front of all our sales guys and I said, I want you to know, before the show starts, that this is not just a bunch of words on the back of the business card. You need to live these. You need to live them from two aspects. From you personally, you're in a place where a lot of things can happen. I want you to be cognizant of that. And I want you to know, if you don't abide by those, that'll be the end of your job. And I'm doing this not only for you, I'm doing this for your wives and your families. So please keep that in mind. And secondly, I want you to behave appropriately with customers, according to the principles. One of the guys got up and said, yeah, that's easy to say. He says, do you realize that there are 2 customers on their way right here now that want me to go partying with them tomorrow night? And that we stand a chance of losing all that business at 2 major mines down in South America. He says, do you realize you're going to lose that business? I said, yes, and I want you to lose that business if that's what it takes. And that was the turning point for the sales team. When I stood up and said, I'm prepared to lose money because of what I stand for. That's when they realized this is not just a bunch of words, it's real. And from that moment onwards, every salesman had this on the back of their business cards. And wives came back to me afterwards and said, you know what? This has changed my husband. It's changed the way when he travels on business. It's changed the way he looks at me. And isn't it wonderful to know that I had a part through a card to affect a family positively? I want to share another quick story. How much time do we have? Oof. No, I'll leave that story out. So I'd like you just to hear for a second what our employees, because we have a multicultural organization. We have most of our workforce is actually from Laos, which is in Asia. Their religion is Hindu and Buddhist. And they're in our company. So what would this do to them? So we had to really figure it out. But the key to the whole thing is not to shove this down anyone's throat. It's to live it. And to live that word of kindness, love. To show first that you love first before you shove a Bible down someone's throat. Because otherwise all you are is a hypocrite. And people don't follow hypocrites. They follow people who show authentic Christian love. Love is the most important thing. And once we displayed that love, and I'm going to share with you a whole bunch of loving methods. Once we started to share those with our employees, I want you to hear what some of them said about this thing.
I think that's helped all of us to become better people, Christians and non-Christians alike, because Christian core values and the Christians practicing those core values. Of course, the non-Christians see that and they tag along, and they see that it's a positive thing, it's a good thing, it's good values, or it's helped the workplace.
Non-Christians tag along. Why do they tag along? It's because of that love, the authenticity in it. And if any of you plan to implement these principles in your business, you've got to ask yourself first, am I ready? Do I really feel it in my heart? Am I doing it for the right reasons? And do I have Christ in my heart first? And as this poster says, I love because He loved me first. And if you really have that in your heart, the system works like you can't imagine. The next thing we did was, how were we going to put feet under this loving concept? How do we do it? A lot of CEOs that I know that have good hearts, they go in and implement these principles in their business, but it's really about them. They are the ones that write the checks to the non-for-profits. They're the ones that have Bible studies. They're the ones that drive the whole thing. I thought, wouldn't it be cool if it wasn't about me, but rather about our employees? So the thought dawned on us, what if we created a caring committee that would drive the principles through the business and be sustaining? And so what we did was we created this caring committee, and this is their purpose, is to give employees an opportunity to identify and propose specific programs to improve the welfare of our employees, their families, their work environment, and their community. So what we did was we chose an initial core group, one person from every department in the organization. I think we have 8 or 9 on the team. And each person represents their department. And we said to them, okay, we're going to take a certain amount of our profits, we're going to put it in a pool, and we're going to ask you to spend the money. But within the guidelines of those principles, to be caring, loving, and kind. Go have at it. Let me tell you, the most unbelievable things happen. And I'll share a few of them that started the whole process. This is, I'll come back to this in a second. The first thing we did was we created a benevolent fund, which is a fund to help employees in emergencies. Homes burning down, problems with hospital expenses, all sorts of things where they really need money. What they would do is they say, okay, I need money. We'd fill out a form. That an envelope would be sent right through the company, and every employee would read what the problem is, put money in there. When that comes back to the caring committee multiplies whatever's in that envelope by 4. And in some instances, some people have got $2,000, $3,000, $8,000, $10,000 through that process to help them. And there are a lot of tricks to what I'm telling you. That's what Scott's job is. I tell you just a very high level. Below every one of these programs I'm about to share with you, there are a whole host of HR issues that have to be dealt with. Like, for example, do you just give money? When someone says, I need $1,000, do you just give it to them? Well, why do you give Jim the money and not Bob? Now you're creating havoc. So what you have to do is develop programs through the caring committee that are seen as equitable and caring. And that's something I don't want to go into right now. But every one of these things I'm going to share with you has a whole host of programs, rules, and regulations to make them function properly. And that's what Scott's job is, to help you. We've learned through sticks in the eye what's good and what's not good. So I stand here and I sort of do this, bobbing and weaving from knowing all the things not to do. And that's where we can help you.